Hello, I'm doing some work on a 2007 Kawasaki 3010 Trans. Um, I got this side by side, relatively cheap. I've been going from the front to the back, finding problems as I go along. So I was replacing the rear axles and wheel bearings, and saw some metal in the back where the axles are, some chunks. So had to tear into the transmission, as you see here. I did this recording to help me be able to put stuff back together because I was running into some problems sourcing some parts. So I didn't know how long it was going to take for me to get this back together. So I wanted to make sure I had something to reference in case I had some issues. After doing hours of research, also looking at service manuals, I saw that there wasn't really a full video of how to do this. So I went ahead and decided to post this. Again, this wasn't meant for YouTube, but I thought maybe it'll be helpful to somebody out there, as I would have definitely liked to have been able to find a video showing kind of how to do this. So hopefully this will help somebody out. And I'm just taking the bolts out here. I'm going to skip forward a little bit to cut out the wait time. Make sure you get all the bolts out. There's some hidden inside there. Uh, just be on the lookout for that if you're having trouble breaking this apart. I'm trying to figure out where this washer came out of. Finally figured out where it came from. And I'm just showing the camera of which order these came off so that I can later reference back to that to see how to put it back together. And after this one, I just flip the transmission around to work on the other side. Be careful with that shaft. There are some spacers, like washer shims in there um, behind the teeth. So just watch when you're pulling that out that you keep an eye out for them and see which way they go. And I just skipped over a bit of me fumbling with that, um, but it's a little tedious to get out, so you just have to be careful and take your time. There's one of the shims that I was talking about. And another one I think fell down into the case, and it goes in behind there. just kind of checking all the teeth there, um, checking everything. There were a couple gears there that were damaged that I had to end up replacing. Again, I'm trying to save time here and trim this video up as much as possible to be able to get it on YouTube, so I apologize for the cuts back and forth. And just while it was fresh in my mind, I was kind of going over the things there that go on the shafts in the order that they go on. Again, this was meant for me. Otherwise, I probably would have done a little bit better job at recording and commenting as I went. But again, like I said, hopefully this will help somebody out. This is your rear diff assembly that I am pulling out now. The diff and the trans are all made into one unit, as well as on this particular model, the four-wheel drive. It goes on this side here that you see. Now I'm just taking the bolts out of the rear axle section there, so I'm going to skip over that so you don't have to watch it. Here I'm actually taking apart the diff assembly. Now I point out the way that it came off those dowels. I do not think it makes a difference. Um, when it goes back together, I will see. I have not put it back together yet. I'm going to do this in a two-part video. I am still waiting on parts, so um, I have not put it back together. So once that goes back in, I'll be able to talk during that video and kind of give you a little bit more detail. But as you can see here, the gears are chewed up in there. That's the root of the problem. And sent metal chunks all through the transmission. I even found them on the opposite side uh, where the four-wheel drive bolts into. Here I'm removing a snap ring at the end of the shaft there. So I'm getting the snap ring off here. The pliers that I have aren't really working that great, so I struggle with it for a little bit trying to get them to work. So I'll skip this part. It's hard to see here, but it is concave, and it took me a minute to figure out which direction I pulled that off on, because I did not realize it was a concave washer. I'm taking the bolt out of the gear selector up top there. There's a spring and a little, like a ball that rides on the top there. And you got to remove that to get the selector to drop down. There's a little pin right there that you need to make sure you get back in as well. Those little dog gears there were worn, so I went ahead and ordered those as well since I was already here. Apparently, that's a common problem with them wearing and jumping out of gear or not going into gear. That area right there is what controls reverse as well. And I'm just putting things back together there the way they came off so that it'll all kind of be there when I'm ready to put it back together. Like I said, hopefully y'all can uh, use this if you're having problems or if you're kind of wondering how to take it apart and it's your first time, like it was mine, for ripping into one of these things. Um, I will have a part two again at the time I'm making this. I have not put it back together yet. So as soon as those parts come in and things calm down with work, I'll be able to jump back on this one weekend and hopefully get the transmission back together and filmed, and then I can upload part two.